And ladies and gentlemen, we are live once again, democracyradionetwork.com, coming at you live and in color from our secret location on Newport Harbor in Newport Beach, California. I'm your somewhat semi-savvy political host, Abby Kaufman, and we'll be coming to you today with some pretty exciting stuff like we have upcoming interviews planned with council candidate Kelly Brown, council candidate, this is Costa Mesa, city council candidate Kara Stewart, and we also from District 71 will be chatting with JJ Galvez, and so you can learn a little bit more about what's going on at the grassroots level in your neighborhood. But before we get really started this morning, there's something I want to kind of tease to make your heart beat fast. And that is, we've always disliked the way the Republicans just kind of have appropriated the flag and the Star Spangled Banner and everything else, claiming that only the true patriots like them play it, and the rest of the Democrats are a bunch of dirty commies. And we all know that's not true. I like to think most Democrats are equally as patriotic as Republicans, if not more so. So with that in mind, I want to start today with a version of the Star Spangled Banner, and here it goes. And how about that, ladies and gentlemen? That was a version of the national anthem done by a country guy, Alan Jackson. And to be honest with you, I have no idea what his politics are, but I do appreciate that that kind of stripped down version of the national anthem. And we want to thank Alan for doing that and for putting it up on YouTube for us to listen to. And let's kind of get right into things on this Friday, April 24th, 2026. And it's a nice day here in Newport Beach. We hope you're having a nice day wherever you are. We hope you're not in the car, not commuting. We hope you're inside and streaming this live as we speak. Give us a call at 949-629-3820 and let us know what's going on in your life, because it's your life that matters. It's what you're going through that we want to hear about. And I'm here from noontime till pretty much till my voice gives out, which is somewhere between 2:30 and 3. I try to stretch it when I can, but I do have a physical limitations. And let's kind of segue with that thought. And I'm sure everybody's feeling the effects of the self-declared Iranian war launched by the orange orangutan that is Absent Intelligence, which is Absent Intelligence is my new AI kind of thing. So we'll start referring to what's his name as what's his name AI, absent intelligence. And if I was really good, I'd know the Latin like absentia intelligentsia, but I don't. We don't do Latin too much. The only bit of Latin I will share with you is that what you learn in the first day in Latin class, and that is in vino veritas, which translates to in wine there's truth. But Abby's version says that only in enough wine is there truth. A little bit of wine may not get it out, but if you have enough wine, eventually the truth will come out. Which is a good thing to think about as we're on in Friday, the last day of the work week. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of ready for it to be Friday. I've even though I work 6 or 7 days a week, I do enjoy a little downtime and maybe just maybe a little downtime. Who knows with an adult beverage? I would hate to speculate. Uh, but as I talk about you know having a beer on occasion, I thought about something I come across the other day, and that is that Alex Karp, the CEO of Palantir, which is the Peter Thiel defense technology firm, and it appears as though Mr. Karp wants the Trump administration to institute a military draft for all. They might not have women, but for all men over 18, register for the draft. Why? Because we need an army of soldiers. Why do you need an army of soldiers? Because we're the aggressor. Okay. Uh, Trump and those guys who are also absent intelligence clearly want to have the biggest, baddest army in the world. And while we had it, they had exposed the fallacy behind having the best military in the world. Is that we may have the best military in the world, we may have the best equipment, and we may have the best of everything. But there's, until the occupied population gives in, you got, what my friend Bobby Howe would call bufkus or skadukas, which is, if you ask, pretty much is nada, nothing. But anyway, you can only imagine that when people institute drafts like this, the reason they do it is because their kids are out of draft range. They want to send your kids. They want to send the kids of my friends. They want to send whoever it is. And you know why? Because they don't care. They just wanted to puff up the numbers. And isn't that just a common grifter scheming thing that real estate people do? Don't they just kind of rearrange things and slap a fresh coat of paint on it, and they tell you it's been remodeled from the studs up or out or whatever it is? So let's not brush this off lightly, and let's pay attention to it. This clearly needs to be stopped. It was a major accomplishment to go from drafting in the 1960s for Vietnam to where we are now. And we've, had a long peace dividend, not uninterrupted, but a fairly smooth peace dividend from World War II. And in Southern California, where this defense industry used to be headquartered, lots of jobs were available because of that. And I can't help, and as we fight different wars and help different people, we've got to remember that draws down our military arms supply. So, at some point, Trump is going to imagine that. Trump is going to run the country into bankruptcy, not unlike he did with his 7 corporations, including, you guessed it, the casino. And, you got to think that if someone can make now casinos, then they're designed to not go broke, right? The odds are always in the house's favor. How do you lose? Well, yes, if you just, and I made this up myself, Donald, the delusional dumbass. I said delusional dumbass. Did you hear that? More crowd. Uh, so we've let's um let's start getting those cards and letters in, folks. This is, you know, a draft is most effective in anticipation of war. That's why Israel has mandatory conscription. Every man and every woman serves in the army when they're 18. Everyone. And they're these, you can say what you want about Israel, but they do a crackerjack job in the all military and intelligence matters. To have the information where the Ayatollah would be before he was bombed, or to have the information as to where Ayatollah Z is. That takes pretty much on the ground people, and we owe it to the disaffected Iranians that are living double lives every day, trying to be faithful on one hand and then giving the U.S. information to let these assassinations happen. So let's let's just pay attention to this draft thing. Let's get those cards and letters in now. And of course, our guys we don't have to worry about. It's always the other guys. So let's not let this opportunity go by. Okay, moving to today's New York Times, the headline is, "In Iran's new leadership structure, the generals hold all the power." That is exactly what a military coup looks like. The military takes over the government, right? And instead of the general becomes the president and all this other stuff, but it's still a hostile takeover of government. And you don't in Iran. We still don't know a whole lot about the younger Ayatollah. How hardline will he really turn out to be? While it's a little early to know, I think you can speculate that the way the power has fallen to the generals, that it's going to be a brook no descent type society. And I've been on a little spiritual journey for a while, and I actually went to the local Orange County mosque and met the Imam Al Qadswini, I think his name was. And to be honest with you, he could not have been any nicer. The congregation, kind of looked at me as a side eye, but they were pretty welcoming. And when the imam came over and talked to me, they knew that I was okay. And I think I was just asking him, like, where can I go wash my hands? But that's besides the point. So anyway, what I have noticed in the mosque is it really is patriarchal, I guess. Men and women do not sit together. They sit separately. And of course, the women get the second-rate seats in the bus, in the back. So you've clearly got a male oriented religion going into it. And I'll tell you something else I did notice that I did not see in like the Buddhist temple or the Sikh Gurdwara, or where else did I go? God only knows. And what I've noticed was the Muslims, at least what I could tell in the mosque, seemed very they were kind of strict. They weren't a whole lot of fun and games with those guys compared to the relaxing realization at the Buddhist temple, or the focusing on the one light at the Sikh Gurdwara. So there, the Iranians come with this really different. And of course, when and this is a trite thing too, but if the only tool you have is a hammer, everything else looks like a nail. Every problem looks like a nail. And that sure does seem like what the orange orangutan who is absent intelligence has in store for us. But again, this is a democracy. We have a right given to us in the Constitution to determine who our leaders are. And, the military doesn't, when you're taken over by the military, they really don't deal in niceties. we can deal with military and military coups. You know, my gun's bigger than your gun, and I'm not moving. So let's hope that there's some sort of recognition that this is not the way to go. That that giving the military and the generals of power does nothing but increase instances not unlike, or you could say similar to, Tiananmen Square. And I think that's the next thing I hope we'll see out of these guys, out of the Iranians, is some sort of a stand. It's our country. You can't do this. But you'd be surprised what the guns can do, and whatever they do, they pretty much do it with impunity. Uh, but and in the bigger picture, the Iran, I was going to say excursion, just as as a to mock he who is without intelligence. This excursion is going to have a price tag that you and I can't begin to imagine. And the reason it's going to be an astronomical price tag, it's because you have a president who could care less how much he spends, particularly since it's other people's money. Have you ever noticed that? If Trump wants it, it's the best. If anybody else wants it, well, here's a few crumbs. And just to, we really do have a problem having a president that can't focus on his job. I mean, he wants to, this is the Iranian war, right? His Secretary of War, pretty boy, Pistol Pete Hegseth, somehow saw fit to fire the Navy, the Secretary of the Navy, at a time when we're in a war that's fairly influenced by the Navy. We can go up and down lists of stupid decisions, but I come back to one basic thing, and that is, wasn't January 6th enough to disqualify him? Why would anybody vote for a guy after January 6th? I'm really kind of curious. All right. Well, like I say, let us know. Give us a call at 949-629-3820. We'd certainly be interested in hearing what you have to say. And that's and again, that's the key feature of a democracy. People get to speak up against popular or unpopular courses, depending on which side they take. That is not prevalent in the Arab world. They just don't do that. But I'd like to think that slowly and relatively surely, we can, start holding our heads proud. And the way to do that is to begin with 2026 and our statewide elections here in California. I mean, guys, this is it. This is it. I always hate to frame things in terms of Armageddon, the ultimate showdown between good and evil. But as time has gone on, he who is without intelligence has only made matters worse in every regard. And then he lies about it on top of that. So we really it's as if to prove we're being led by an idiot, we have to be led by an idiot. So, let's join in our local district and do what we can do. And I'm talking about now in Costa Mesa and Laguna Beach and Huntington Beach and Laguna, Irvine. I mean, San Juan Capistrano, Dana Point. If you're anywhere, Santa Barbara, what's that thing? Not Montecito as opposed to Mendocino. We're kind of like Mendocino. It's about how can I put this? Mendocino is, you would go just a little bit north of here, but that's just so pretty. That's kind of horse country, and it's kind of lush at the same time, and I'm sure they have all the little what do you, I don't even know what you call them anymore. Little accessory packs for your takeout dinner. Oh God! But let's keep our eye on the ball, guys. And the ball for us. Excuse me. The first ball is the primaries coming up. What are we gonna do? We're gonna go out, knock on doors, and we're gonna get people to win. We're gonna get them to vote. Um, it's just, like I say, it's too crucial to not. We've kind of let it slide before, and now people are getting fairly complacent about not doing it. But voting is still the fundamental distinguishing right of a democracy. That and having an established procedure with steps, as opposed to just winging it, or my favorite expression, a gut punch. Now, if Trump ever says he got a gut punch, I think you can pretty well assume he's lying. He seems to be pretty good at that these days. And anyway, let's start by getting a bum out of here. Let's get our guys in and make some progress. I do like the sound of making progress. Anyway, while I'm kind of talking and giving shout outs, I want to give a shout out to the old Vaughn's grocery store on 17th Street in Costa Mesa. Today is $5 sushi day, and there's only like one or two varieties. But for what do we get? A California roll with like those fake fried onions things on top. Sorry about that. It was so good. I've had the Friday is $5 sushi special at Pavilions, and you can't just buy it because it's on special. But I was at Sprouts one Wednesday and noticed they had $6 sushi. Oh well, I'll take one and try it. And I don't know how they make things that taste so differently. But let's just say the first one tasted much better than the second, which means Vaughn's Pavilion, $5 sushi on Fridays. Go. Sprouts, $5 sushi Wednesday. Don't go. You'll be doing your stomach in your favor. But anyway, let's get back into the business. Oh, and I always like to kind of paint a picture of the New York Times just to kind of give you guys the really complete version. And of course, there's always one color picture, right, in the front page. And today it was people and women holding posters of the young and old Ayatollah. Okay. So they're obviously in favor of both, but they have no idea what the younger Ayatollah, is like. Nobody really knows. So in so many ways, we have been kind of conditioned to let the Chinese and Japanese operate in their own way. It's clearly becoming a problem. There's unfortunately nothing to do about it. They are sovereign countries. But I think it'd be beneficial to keep an eye on them, just because you never know when things are going to break your way or break against you. Okay, let's see here. Okay, how about this? The EU loves to keep that the release out of the press. We can see that anyway. How about this? Capitol officer enmeshed in January 6th conspiracy. Now, that's kind of a sordid tale. And I've gotten all this from the New York Times, today's edition. And it makes you wonder how hard the guys at the Times had to work to get that information to you, almost, Yeah, I mean, I consider it pretty much at light speed these days. You know, it'll be assimilated as soon as it can be typed, and the writer can hit send. Yes, I think that's a little too much, and I need to figure out a way to yes around with that. But anyway, let's not get too terribly carried away with that. Okay, how about this? You know, I'm sure the expression "worthless POS" has come up before, particularly with he who is absent intelligence. But anyway, um, how about Saudi Arabia and the Metropolitan Opera in New York City had some kind of deal where the New York Met would fund and go and held concerts in Saudi Arabia and all that, and in exchange, they give them moolah, which could be used for donations. Now, let's suppose there are people that don't really appreciate that distinction. Let's say there are people that take up an entire desk and then get offended when you kind of have a seat. And I'm the first one to tell you that you can't make an omelet without a broken egg. So there we are. That's got a little broken egg for you. And we still need to after we sign off here, we've got to make a trip on up to Micro Center. We need to grab a quarter-inch mail to quarter to mail C USB. So let's just see how that stuff works. Just a little something for me to look forward to in the afternoon. Uh, how about this? The European Union uh, load to Kiev that reflects the peace differential. And there's lots of Moscow. Strange enough, there's lots of pressure on Putin to wind this thing down. And this is what, like, third, fourth year. He's lost close to 1 million able-bodied men. There aren't, the Soviet Union is not a place of centralized power anymore. Okay, they've taken the power completely away, and let's not be happy about it. And if you're unhappy about it, give me a call at 949-629-3820 and let us know your thoughts on this. It's all you can't say that anything is unimportant right now. We really have to pay attention to everything. And I don't know about you guys, but whenever I go sailing, I really like to kind of enjoy nothing. I don't, there are times where I don't want to look at my phone, and on the boat's one of them. So even if I don't get the time off, pal, trust me, I'm going to leave it, and we'll pick up this discussion when we can. Let's see here. We also, how about you want to do? How about that? Just for a little intellectual music. How about a little quintessence, real quick? We are into quintessence, and here it goes. Quintessence. Quintessence. In quintessence. Quintessence. Hey, Glenn. In quintessence, in quintessence, in quintessence, in quintessence, in quintessence. And guys, we are back from a little bit of squeeze with incandescence. So let's and I mean if you're ever up to it, you ought to check out a little first couple squeeze albums, the ones with Jules Holland, who you might be somewhat familiar with from the BBC. But Jules Holland and the Squeeze, a very young cigar smoking Jules Holland with Squeeze. All right, now that we've kind of had a little fun and games diversion, um, oh, how about this? So the Saudis took back their offer to pay the Met millions of dollars to come over and perform. Um, you know, I've noticed the Saudis are really. I mean, that's another group that uses one that has one basic negotiating method. Um, they'll just try to pay whatever it is, and if they can't do it, then they'll do it illegally. But at least the Saudis try to buy you before they rape you, if you know what I mean. And that's in the figurative sense, believe me. And let's see here. How about this? Iranian expatriates in Dubai are caught in the crossfire between their adopted home in Dubai and their homeland in Lebanon. And Lebanon's is not unlike a lot of other places in the Middle East, in that it's just a home for a bunch of factions who don't see things uh, in common, but yet they're the first to try to fix matters when a perceived wrong is noticed. So you can't go around punishing people just randomly. You have to be fairly consistent, and you know, I'll drop it at that. I don't want to put too fine a point of it on anything, but these days and times, it's just really crucial to document your approach just in case. All right. So anyway, back to the back to Charleston, and oh, I gotta tell you, as I went to what I thought was the Laguna Beach Democratic Club meeting last week, I drove down to Laguna Beach and looked around, and went to the place and went upstairs and didn't see anybody look pretty familiar, but I figured maybe they're just taking a day off. And then I noticed the tables are arranged in a circular, uh, are just circular, and and there's like candles on the table, and something just looks a little different here. So, but in the meantime, I go ahead and sign in. The lady says, "Oh, we haven't seen you before." So, well, I'm new here. And so I chat up this woman next to me named Debbie, who's the co-founder of whatever is going on. I still don't know what's going on at this point. Uh, she starts talking, and then the bald-headed guy who looks like Mr. Clean came in with his Native American flute to play his Native American flute for us. And I've got an old friend, Bill James, and we had gone to a yoga class together. And he looked at me and says, if that woman pulls a flute out of that case, I'm leaving. And of course, she pulled the flute out, and Billy left, and left me there alone. But story of my life. Uh, mm, oh, I do love telling that story. So thanks for indulging me. And let's see. So you got the Iranians in Dubai not happy about being attacked. Well, the Iranians probably weren't happy when we attacked, and we attacked while while negotiations were active. I'm just telling you that sort of mental instability is just lethal. And but let me go back to the Iran war thing for just a second. I'm sure you've seen these prediction markets, poly market, and God knows what else it might be. And in these poly markets, you make predictions. You don't bet, you make predictions. And so there was a special forces guy who predicted, predicted that, some falls in the Iran war. And of course, it happens. And of course, he wins $400,000. But he does this using what? Secret government information, or top secret government information. So the moral of the story is, watch out who you say things to, and you just might enjoy your freedom for a little while longer. I'm not really crazy about helping people go to Yale in any way. And it's so important to keep hydrated as I'm still getting, I'm still relishing being your host. And this, I think, gives me a chance to hone my skills. And not only that, but like we can have a little chat if you like. Give us a call, 949-629-3820, and tell us what's going on. You grocery shopping? Was the bill a little expensive? Did you get surprised at something that wasn't expensive? What do you guys eat? Steak, hamburger? Was it like $10 a pound ground meat? And if it was, you certainly couldn't be surprised. Between the farmers and price gouging and Trump taking us out of several European markets for soybeans, it's a slow moving disaster picking up steam with every day. And clearly there's a world of difference between state and local politics and national politics. But national politics are just the natural evolution of voting. So as we move forward to the new moon and all that, we want to always be the party that looks forward. Let Trump use the any just because he can. So we're not liking that too quickly. And the more we fight, the more arms we use, and these things ain't cheap. You can have a drone that's reasonably effective for what, less than $500. I mean, this is just amazing to me. But we do hope you keep watching and tune in to the democracyradionnetwork.com because we are your somewhat savvy, politically minded host. And we need to get old what's her name out here. How about that? I think we need good old what's her name. Now I'm just kidding. I'm not talking about Kelly Brand or Kara Stewart, but we need those guys front and center. They're young, they're female, they're motivated. You could build a lot with these two, with Natalie and what's her name? How about that? Like that. There's a line in the song. There's a as a line here that doesn't rhyme with anything. With anything. Anyway, let's kind of keep plugging away, and we'll take our first break around noon time today. It's 12:40 here, so we've got another hour and 20 minutes until the magic number where the arms on the clock point at right angles. And that can't happen too soon, can it? Oh, how about this? Germany and Israel are allies, right? But what about Germany starting to uh, start voice a little frustration on the pace of change and how it's being done and all that? I don't know what you do. The only thing I can figure out is that it ain't my problem. I'd have to ask somebody. Anyway, how about and let's don't say how about the not the insurance exports in Dubai? We want. How about the Lebanese? Let's pick on Lebanese. Lebanese are cashing in when they get the news when the Israeli talks and all that. I thought that some things were just a euphemism about bending the pack, but in the meantime, we'll figure out how to deal with it. How about that, guys? Anybody tuning in, been to In and Out lately? How was it? A little much for a cheap old burger like that, but that's the way it is. And this is Newport Beach, California, on April 24th, 2026. So, guys, we got anybody riding around from Santa Ana right now, or Costa Mesa? We'd love to hear what's going on. So, if you're up to it, give us a call 949-629-3820, and let us know what's going on. And if my friend Scott Adams is listening, a special shout out to you guys. Your dad and you, Squeaky and Donnie. You showed me how to be a decent person, and I'll never forgive you guys for you know for doing that. I don't know if I ever deserved it, but that was very kind of you guys, and I certainly appreciate it. And as always, if you need anything, let me know. So with that in mind, let's turn our attention to how about this? Can you believe the Iranians seized 2 American tankers? Well, I guess we know if those guys were climbing up or climbing down, don't we? I guess they wanted to outright take over the ship, and apparently somebody in there has enough hours on enough boats to get it. But it's like everything else about he who's absent intelligence, is it always feels a little sleazy. I mean, like no matter who is there, and it just still seems sleazy. Uh, I don't know how this came about. For some reason, my mother started to substitute the word floozy, and so just if you're a little floozy, then come see us. Albie Kaufman, 949-629-3820. Again, we'd love to hear your thoughts, and let's see, we're here for you. We're not. I'm not really, curious about a big new jacket or whatever. It's just all I need is functional. And in that regard, it's kind of like the Japanese cars of the 60s and 70s. Japan has a very different, I'm going to say, engineering culture, and that some lines are, for standing required, and usually 1 out of 4 handicapped, and then a third for women. So anyway, I need my thing covered. So of all people, I run into Howard Sherman, and I've known Howard for ages, and Howard, I need a favor. What's that? I need this kind of sushi. They say anything else? I'm like, no. And next thing you know, I'm on my merry way. So It is funny the way some people have the ability to make a phone call, and it's as if somebody is ordered to, to stay up until 11 and be nice about it. Yeah, say no. I think that to the degree you can, families togetherness is better than family untogetherness. Whether you believe that's or not, is a different story. But I would encourage you to give us a call one day, 949-629-3820, and just to see what John Q. Public says about this. And of course, we wouldn't be quite John Q. Public because we're going to have an FM Bluetooth transmitter in the phone. Uh, Now, whether I can install it properly is an entirely different question. But AI always seems to help. And what else? Oh, I saw Bob and what's his name, Gary the other day, and I have no idea why those two go to the gym. I doesn't. I mean, I'm pretty slightly built, and I think my stuff weighed more than theirs. Guys, I don't know what the deal is, but apparently we're starting to get a little tired here, and you know what? Hang on just a second. Hey guys, thanks for that brief indulgence. Because what did I get? I got my copy with my official science silence is compliance. Shout louder. DemocracyRadioNetwork.com bumper sticker on my coffee mug. Send us an email or so, and I'm glad to put one in the mail to you. Just let me know where to send it. And by the way, no vandalism, please. Don't go put these on Republicans' cars. They're let them keep digging their own hole. It seems like every show we have occasion to put the coffee caffeine theory to the test. Like, will an extra cup of coffee give me the gumption to keep going? And if so, for how long? Well, obviously, I'm betting on it. And as far as the how long, I think the over under would be 2:30. And I feel like I just might be able to beat that, but I might just be a little taken with my own abilities, if you know what I mean. And how about when the reporter asked Trump when the war's going to end? And he says, "I'm in no hurry. This is Vietnam," and he's wrong on both counts. It is Vietnam, and and it shouldn't take a while. I mean, I don't actually, weigh every day, keep up with my hair or my weight or whatever it is, which means that we have to have somebody else do it. The last thing we want is something else the Republicans want, as a permanent underclass or subclass of people that will, in effect, be slaves. In 2026, they think that was a good idea, and they want to bring it back. Uh, I'm always reluctant to hear about reappearances or second chances or all that, and it's kind of a simple reason for that. As when you go to a let's leave that topic for a little later. How about and Israeli allied Germany beginning to report frustration? Well, we guess that. And how about the United States seized the second tanker of oil? I'm sure the question is, anytime he who is without intelligence says something, the next question is that true? And I would wager say probably 80% of the times it is not. And in any other work situation, people just be fired if they messed up continually. And I just you know I don't really like it when people mess up consistently. They can be nice, they can be misinformed. So while I try not to be judgmental about that, the easy part to be judgmental about are the MAGA people that say stupid things, like the guy I ran into this morning that saw fit to tell me that Trump won the election and there's tons of evidence and he's changed everything. I'm like, really? I goes, yeah. I said, well, how about if you show them to me? And so he goes in this room and brings out these Polaroid type things and some light, some dark, I don't know, whatever it is. But what it looks like to me is a guy standing beside a horse, not on the horse, not, killing or doing whatever on the horse, just, I guess you could say keeping the horse company. Uh, Only in Trump world is that a noble situation. I mean, I shouldn't be in shock about Pistol Pete, Pretty Boy Pete Hegseth firing the head of the Laguna Beach training and all that. Uh, but whatever they do is always so short sighted that we just need to call them out. I think as inflation stays and as Trump makes more and more money, people see the Trump boat sailing away from the shore they're on, and and until we get a second chance, we have to sit there and grin and bear it. Talk about not being happy about something, but again, it's you know what am I going to do besides get the message out? And the truth is, I'll do everything I can. If someone's got a suggestion, let me know. And you know what? Just because it's closing in on one, and because you guys said you kind of like Squeeze, how about if we do a little more? How about what do you guys want to hear? How about uh, let's see. How about labeled with love? How about that? Come on, guys, start playing. Music sounding thing from Squeeze. Hang on. All right, guys, let's kind of get back to democracyradionetwork.com. I am your semi or somewhat savvy, politically minded host, Abby Kaufman, and we invite you to give us a call at 949 629 3820 and share your thoughts. Let us know what's going on with you. Uh, have you had any unexpected surprises as a result of the increased cost of everything? Uh, I know gas came down a few cents the other day. It went from like 6.10 a gallon to 5.97, and I use premium gasoline, so this I can't. I pay it or leave it. Now, one thing I would ask is when people use cheaper gasolines, it's usually because they don't have the cleaning qualities or detergents in them that top tier gas designates. Excuse me. So even if you have to use a cheap gas station, try to find like a Valero that has the top tier gas certification. You'll spend a little less money and be getting a little better product. And I think that's a good thing. It might not be as good as electing Democrats up and down the ballot come in the primary and the midterms, but guess what, folks? We are working hard to put a Democrat in every seat everywhere. Clearly, we know not. It won't happen to 1,000% certainty or 100% certainty. But we still like the notion of that. And when you're your own biggest fan, you tend to hit the applause button a good bit. Okay, so back to local politics. Um, and let's see, lining up interviews with JJ Galvez and Dr. Kelly Brown and Kara Stewart from Costa Mesa. Uh, now, how about the? I think, if I'm not mistaken, there's a major going on down in the Dana Point Harbor that Supervisor Foley is overseeing. So maybe when she comes, we'll kind of ask her about that. I want to tell everybody in advance that I do not that I try to work with the interviewer to have an entertaining interview where people will listen and pay attention and not be bored out. I'm similarly good at that, so just keep those cards and letters coming, folks. $5 sushi, by the way, at Pavilions is really good today. And I say how, and the common thing or the consistent thing between the papers today is they both really focused on Iran. And while you can't blame them for focusing on Iran, I can blame them for invading Iran and not having a plan. I mean, I just don't. I can't understand why someone just make a decision like that. I do think I don't know if we're anywhere near the late '60s as far as having protest marches for the draft. But what I do know is that with the internet, we have the most amazing organizing tool ever devised by mankind. And with good people using it, we'll figure a way. Uh, so in the meantime, this is your semi savvy or your somewhat semi savvy political minded host, Abby Kaufman. And we are coming up on the 1 o'clock hour. And I'm just going to sit here for a few minutes and let's play something you just might like. How about I would do Take Me I'm Yours, but I don't know if you guys would get that. So you only have to get you only have to do a thing once, and if somebody likes it, you're home free. But let's get a little squeeze action for Annie. Oh, you know what? How about the Shins version? How about Annie? Get Your Gun by the Shins. Here it is, folks. The Shins from New Mexico. Goodness, squeeze. Goodbye, girl. And she had a certain style. Sunlight on the line, oh. Isn't that a great line? Goodbye, girl. Goodbye, girl. Oh, 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 why didn't you tell me earlier? Why didn't you tell me earlier? I could have planned on that. Okay, that's all right. Thanks. All right, hang on, guys. We will be relocating temporarily. Let's see how we can do this.
into the compromise. Right? 12 knots, you're like well into it, a little bit. So we are going to reef today. Okay. So what I like to do is I'll read. It's always really when this is out there and iron. Right. So, and it's opportunity actually to learn that. I'm not looking for the right? I'm just having a discussion here, and then so I have to raise let's I'm going to say is that it's all knots. Okay, just the all knots. Is evidently short. Whenever I see 12 knots, I maybe it's always low. Why? It's always low. I don't know about you, but I say a lot. But it's really, let's see it taken off. I don't know. But hold on. Hold on. What are you and then you remember this little thing we have here is a line that goes up through this back and then back down. So today, what we're going to do, now this is a full sail, okay? Now what, I don't know all the three things you're talking about. Here's our mean, so we so with that in mind, it is what we look down. Then, we're going to talk about first, loose doing a little bit out here, and then we're going to put our these are called crinkles. So the crinkles are this little highlight of the hole. Right? You see those are lower the scale, put the contact back to it. Now you're still forward. So we're going to lower the halyard, loosen the boom bang, Cunningham, we're going to put it through and tighten it. Then we have to honor these lines that come back here. Always see attach back there, the hanging lines later. These are called reflux. Okay. These lines, attacking the rear. Okay. So, basically, already getting each of the recoils on the back and on the shoulder. All we're going to do is utilize and then we're going to start still tiles. And we're going to all what's happening? Okay. It's like, we have to go a little bit higher. So how we get to manage that live and then get cool, all right. Well, if it's a small here, it also just it's still part of that. Yeah, I understand. Sometimes on the baseball, I do it. But single, this is that's the thing. Coming out on the boat. Did we talk about at all the? Well, you guys check like. You did not.
You said what's to sell, are you, I think you're talking about
Yeah.
that. What's to sell? I thought you had such
Yeah. Right, okay. Oh, okay. And then, yes. Are we here? We're going to go over. So basically, here we are. Right? Oh, okay. Okay. So, who's on, who's okay, now I do. This is, have wind, we can move. Okay, we either go up or we, actually, this would be, yeah, we can do that. We can have it. Okay. What you don't want to do is turn into the person. Okay? You want to turn away from the person. That way, you're here, powerful, and then you're on the road, and then you accident, you're going in the same direction. Okay? Because this is a lot easier than that. Okay? If he bounce off the side of his boat, right? Nobody's doing it. But if you fly, you can run into the person, then they're out of it. Right? So, one way, the other thing is, you stand on. You stand on in order to do that. You're coming at you and they do not move. You are quiet. You're not there. So, clearly, this person is not close. That's why I right? So, yeah, still, I mean, wins this way. Now, this, oh, and so they are. We were back from here. And, that's how you know what's happening.
I gotta make it. And the vote, yeah, okay. Okay. Because I know that he has to make a store attack, I have to give way to him, that's how it is? Like,
Yeah.
how do I know he's not gonna turn left, right there? Like, how do I know?
Hold on.
Yeah, I mean,
I got you.
because
I
I'm
was
just
got you.
because I'm assuming what he's gonna do.
No, you're not. The Star Wars. when you're on a boat, the tack that you are on, okay, is opposite side of the sail. So we're on back, we're on back. Regardless of which way it is back, because you only want to start with the quarter, okay, start to stand up, which means you can do it this way. You go this way. You have to avoid it. So, not saying, well, what are they going to do? Yes. But, harder if you're coming up. Right? They have to do that. You're going down. They're not going to just but it is too fast. Yeah,
I understand, you make two boats are going. Usually just makes them shift it, I don't know, motion. You're talking about that situation where the person's
this guy's cruising along, we're cruising along. We're actually going to hit it. We here. Okay. Now, you don't serve a boat, that's just how it works. Wait. Okay. The boats, we have along the boat. Okay. All the way. We keep the boat. And basically, they'll go to this point, and the wind starts to go out. Okay. The boats will both stagger on the side. Okay. And it was the fin that acted like the keel, but it had to wait. Okay. What would happen is that in order to go from sliding side to side on the table, you have to have something down in the water. Okay. Well, when this boat is on sort of attack, this fin is up out of the water, barely, not out of the water, but barely in the water. Okay. So, is he more maneuverable, or is it port attack? That's why starboard attack. So, it has nothing to do with so, what if you're going to and we are partner on the world? We're on starboard attack. We're right next to him. Who do you think is more maneuverable? Because the wind's coming past us, take these guys win. That makes sense. As we go on, now we have the power. We get all the power. Which means we'll on starboard, we always know. It's all about maneuverability. When we're
So the passageway we'd be making.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, still like a ten.
Yeah. But this is just how you're going to whether on this aspect. No, until this point, let's say we go back here, and we This way. I'm saying all of this, saying it all, but I'm not all out. Right? And we got to go, hey, we're leaving. Hey, it's hey, this one said, okay. I'm just trying to put the terms in your brain so that I can say it. Right? That's all this is. Okay. Let's see what. All right. Look at that. You want
Yeah.
there's a light right here. Well, it's you're dead. Yeah. The idea is that the light should be on whenever you're at that. Then you can power the day. Right? Same thing every right? That's the day signal, and you take that on your yeah. Yeah. You ever seen that?
It doesn't say, that's what you it's like, unless that's automatic, unless it's automatic, turn on it. Like, you can do that.
Nobody does this. I think I've seen it once in my whole career. But the thing, like, and I absolutely do this. It's just,
I'm trying to think, I don't know.
yes.
If you have an outboard,
Mhm.
there's a
Yeah.
light.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll have the masthead lights up here. Okay. Depends on the size of the boat. If it's a large boat, you'll have the masthead lights up here.
I remember.
Okay. If it's a smaller boat, yeah. But you'll have a masthead light. And they also have so, you won't really you're out here walking at night, and you see a sailboat go by, and you see, okay, there's a light in the middle of that. So, that's That's a drive. Drive. Okay. Extremely important to watch to make sure that you see, okay, my jib is loose, my jib is down, being blocked by the main. If I continue this way, it's going to jibe. Okay, my boot's going to flop over. So what do we have to do when we're going to do a jibe? To get ready for that jibe. Do you remember? We pulled in the sail. We pulled in the main sail. Okay, to make it tight. Right. Yeah, over here, right? Yeah. We put this mainsail on the center line. We bring it over. And the reason is because when we turn, it's just going to flop over a little bit instead of going from here all the way to here. Right? And this is where people get hurt and stuff breaks. This is just a little, and you're good to go.
Okay, so advanced levels, they just let it go all the time.
No way.
Well, they still do that.
Absolutely.
I'm just asking, I'm just
Yeah,
asking,
you don't wanna
I'm not saying I want to do it, I'm just asking, because
Yeah.
even if you're,
If I'm out on the big sailboat and we're in the ocean and I'm about to drive,
always do that. It's
always,
the best, that's best practice, that's practice.
always. Because what happens is the larger your boat, the heavier that boom is, right? It's not just gonna bounce off your head, it's gonna smack you out of the boat, right? So we don't wanna even deal with that. We get used to doing this and you never, ever, ever have a problem. This is to carry it all the way through your career, okay? When you're gonna jibe, you bring the sail into the middle and then it comes over and then you ease it back out. Okay? Cool. All right, let's go sit. And I'll be in the boat, so any questions? Feel free to ask. Yeah, me too. Yeah, I mean, it's up to you. Let's put it this way, having a jacket on a boat is never a bad idea,
Yeah,
right? All right, thank you.
Guys, I am so sorry about that. I was overrun by aliens that look like Bigfoot, and one of them had a near-death experience, and I went to go get help, and one thing led to another. So they finally overran the heathens, and they have left the super secret, undisclosed location on Newport Harbor in Newport Beach, California. Fighting off them heathen herds is getting harder and harder by the day. So anyway, I can't remember exactly where we were when I left off, but it's really appropriate that I'm coming to you live and in color. Oh, there we go. I'm coming to you live and in color from, like I said, Newport Beach, California. And it's really funny because Democracy Radio Network is a democratic platform, period. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. No two sides here. We are here to show you the best Democrats we can find. At least the ones that the best Democrats that will talk to us. And we want to be that hyper local source for your everything. Even though I kind of pontificate on the New York Times and Financial Times, the crux of what we're doing is building a network of affiliated people and maybe even institutions, and have a true from the ground up hyper local focused but viewable worldwide. We'll have several different hosts. We anticipate having 12 shows. How about 6 shows a day that'll kind of repeat, or at least maybe 12 shows a day for 2 hours. If they repeat, that's fine. You guys, for a long time, you might even like you give us another chance. So anyway, this is one of the most conservative places traditionally in the United States. I mean, this is where, what's his name? Richard Nixon, Whittier, California, not far away, Ronald Reagan, and, what is zero, and it's not that these guys are zeros, they're like sub-zero. A zero would leave matters, more or less the way they found them. Only a zero would leave them worse than where they found them. So when I mean less than zero, that's what I mean. And I say this just about every time I mention Reagan's name, because it's amazing how many people don't know Reagan's one of Reagan's greatest accomplishments. And I'm being sarcastic with that, even though people still cheer him, is he closed all the mental hospitals. Or what he did is ended involuntary stays, so that you didn't have to stay. And as a matter of fact, people not only did not stay, but they were encouraged to leave. Okay, so you got these mental institutions emptied and throwing people on the streets, and that sound like some Republican talking point. So anyway, these people are on the streets, as they have a found constitutional right to do. And what does he do at the same time? Now, ordinarily, when you throw people out, you would maybe kind of be inclined to find them a little shelter as some middle ground until they get reestablished, because they've been in a mental institution. But somehow that made a little too much sense. And so Reagan also cuts the Section 8 subsidized housing allowance. So he got, tons of mentally ill people, thrown out into the streets through no fault of their own, other than just not being able to fend for themselves. And I keep coming back to the president, orange orangutan who is absent intelligence. It just stuns you. It absolutely stuns you. The similarities. And what I don't get is these guys are the first ones not only to hide behind the flag and the national anthem and, all that stuff. But then they go into hide behind Christianity as doing, God, Lord Jesus, whatever's will. And I'm like, I kind of thought those guys fed the hungry. I have some vague recollection, something about providing shelter. How about that old clothing the naked thing, which is, I'm big on that. And, you can't The facts are out there. Again, the evidence supports the conclusion. I want to repeat that phrase a few times. The evidence supports the conclusion. Okay. And if you make a decision not supported by the evidence, if you make a decision, you have all these facts, and you go, no, I'm just going to wing it. That's generally not a good idea. But that seems to be the only method that he who is without intelligence, knows. I'm going to tell you guys, this ain't over by a long shot. And the lousy part is we all knew it was going to happen. We all knew that once Trump got in office and saw the way he was starting out, we all knew that he was out against the U.S. and not just a person here, a person there. He wanted retribution against the entire United States, 340 more or less million of us, because he had engaged in criminal activity and got arrested for it, sometimes tried for it. And I think he's got a perfect track record about kind of losing, So we all knew it was going to happen. We just didn't know how. And, folks, there's ain't much to be done now. Let's just hang on. And actually, what we're supposed to do now is the time when we're supposed to unite and work together. And that's why our email is united@democracyradionetwork.com. We are united like the airlines, we are united, like I can't say united like the states, but we are, united behind a democratic future in every post possible. We have great candidates, and I keep coming back to some local candidates for county council in Costa Mesa, California, Dr. Kelly Brown and Kara Stewart. And, there's just, we really do have an abundance of riches in the candidate department. Of course, in California, things get a little heated when you have, everybody wants to be governor, and you got 3 people for lieutenant governor. You got, 30 people to pick for governor. But in the matter of fact, one of my friends asked me, why did I run for governor, or why did I consider it? And I'm like, I suck at enough things already. I don't need to do like one more in public. But I don't know what it costs these days, but it used to be pretty cheap to get your name on the presidential ballot. I want to say that I recall at one time you could pay a $250 filing fee and actually have your name on the presidential ballot. How cool is that? Presidential candidate, Abby Kaufman. Yes, sir. At your service. Oh, and I love nothing better. Anyway, let's lubricate the old throat a little bit. There was a time when I would never like this, but when I put my official democracyradionetwork.com sticker on my official mug and realized that I needed to shout louder, I have been a fan of Starbucks at Fashion Island, Newport Beach, California. You guys are all super, who you are. Prez, Leah, Gabe, Maddie, Abby, Lucy, Ruby, the Prez, can't forget the Prez. God, I don't, kind of run out of names at this point. But anyway, thanks, guys. This is a super concoction, or maybe it's the elixir. I think elixirs are supposed to be liquid, like kind of medicine. There's a very cool, like a kid's ice cream or matcha bar, something like that, and it looks just out of the world. It's called Elixir, and it's over on Newport Boulevard, right near the bicycle shop. Matter of fact, between the bicycle shop and there's a like a smoke shop, and it's upstairs in a secret compartment just above the smoke shop. I did say it was secret, but it was between the upstairs from the smoke shop by the bicycle store. Okay, well, I didn't want to make that too terribly complicated for anybody. But even around here, and Huntington Beach is traditional, surf Nazi kind of place, and that all got its start when people moved out here after World War One and World War, the Depression and all that, and they were brought some like prejudices with them. So and don't think California, has always been like this cool hip liberal place. Huntington Beach has always been kind of right wingish. But even in Huntington Beach, where I go to the gym, you don't see the enthusiasm. You see more of a resolution to chaos. They're just resolved to to the way he does things or wants things. And ladies and gentlemen, that's like I say the 180 degrees from why we're here. I'm here to chat with every Democrat that'll talk to me. Let's get your name out. Hopefully you get a good clip or two out of this. And let's get cracking. Join the local Democratic club now. And I'm going to tell you, sometimes, I mean, we all have different, financial considerations in life. And, it's easy for, two people to decide what the third one ought to give. But my point is larger than that. It's not necessarily financial. But let's say you can only afford, or you can be, let's say you can't really afford to join a Democratic club for, I don't know, $20. And, sometimes, do a PayPal pay-in for free interest or whoever it is. Just, don't pay interest on this thing. But if you need a little financial help, it's, there are ways. So, I mean, I don't really want to go into debt or anything, but, sometimes have a little time to space things out helps. So I sort of mention that in passing because this election is not going to be cheap. It's going to be astronomical. And, if we Democrats have learned one thing, and particularly through this redistricting battle, it's pretty much that you might not always have to fight fire with fire, but when you don't fight fire with fire, you're down to relying on intelligence to fight the fire. And usually you need like water to fight the fire, or fire to fight the fire. You get what I'm saying? So with that in mind, give us a call at 949-629-3820 and let us, what are you feeling from the war? Or what are your feelings on the war? Like I say, we're gonna, the current administration is the only administration that has enough nerve to pick a fight, lose the fight, you can come back home and say, "Great job, guys." It's and that comes back to facts and evidence. When Donald Trump has access to briefings from bright military people, and I heard this is what happened with the Iran decision. The military gave their best analysis, pro and con. That these are the potential dangers, and then one of Trump's guys gets up and says something like, "Oh, it's gonna be just like Venezuela. It's gonna be that easy. We'll be in and out in 12 hours, not a problem." And now you would think there might be some careful deliberation between, like the facts as presented by the career military people and the young guy who's saying, "Geez, Dad, it'll be easy. Just like last time. Don't worry about a thing." And the sum total of the decision was, oh, sounds good to me. Uh, it's just staggering. Which is why, if such a thing can happen like that, how do you feel about it? I mean, let me know. I know I get a little testy about it, but what do you guys say? We're all feeling it at the gas station, that's for sure. I'm not much of a fast food eater, so I don't, know how really crowded or uncrowded those things are, but I'm sure it's got to be, a special occasion. Maybe you save for a birthday to go to McDonald's. Something's really out of whack. And while they may have been out of whack for a little while, they've never been this out of whack. And like I said, we have no idea what the time horizon is on this. We do know that Alex Karp from Palantir has strongly suggested, and it might have been acted on by now, to reinstate a draft of 18-year-olds. And I've often found that when people want to sacrifice 18-year-olds, it's always other people's 18-year-olds. It's not theirs. I'm the first one to tell you we got to have a decent military and security and all that. But we don't have to have the corrupt military and the corrupt administration that we have now. I'm sure, at this point there aren't any secrets. Hell, they steal right in front of you. And I guess I could check the time on my Trump watch after I played my Trump Les Paul, and then had a good, Trump steak for dinner. Oh, and did I tell you I'm going to go to Trump University Night School too? Let's see what else. Oh, I had some gorgeous, what do you call it? Trump water. What else is he selling these days? Oh, the Bibles. How could I forget the Bibles? Now, I guarantee you, as time goes on. Oh, but I gotta tell you, the first time I had heard about, Trump, being so delusional as to think he's Jesus. I'm sure where everybody else sees a cross, he sees the letter T. He's just incapable of any other point of view. How people voted for him after January 6th, God only knows. Oh, I know. They thought he would be better on the economy. Now, what is there any evidence to support that conclusion? Well, let's see if he's been a successful businessman, which would lead you to conclude that he's a better financial steward for the country. Let's see. How about bankruptcies 1 through 6? No, well, let's see. He might not have everything going for him, right? Okay, guys, how about this? How about bankruptcy number 7, a casino? It's designed from day one to make money. The house never loses kind of thing. Now, does taking a going business like that and driving it into bankruptcy, is that your idea of financial acumen or business intelligence or whatever it is? Now, if it is, then you got a case for voting for him. But I just don't see that one. But then again, I was just overrun by a horde of aliens that look like what's his name, Bigfoot, and had a near-death experience, which is a fine radio show out there. The base. Oh, you know what? That's actually a semi-accurate description of George Noory in Coast to Coast overnight. A guy gives him, I'm going to just say this. God bless him. He gives voice to the people that ordinarily wouldn't be heard. And, I say probably shouldn't be heard either. But I do periodically tune in, and I love hearing like the Tom the Trucker from whatever it is in Iowa. or Nebraska, and you just, you really want to know what these guys are thinking. And when they're driving across, state, across country, in the middle of the night, they'll tell you. And it's it's incumbent upon us Democrats, or we Democrats, to listen and show how our Democratic platform, can help them. I can only imagine they know who and where hurt them now, who took away their food stamps, who, uh, cut medical care for everybody. The premiums you went so high that a lot of people can't afford them, and that stuff's not quite coming home to roost yet. It's been barely a year and a couple of months, and this is about the time that that most things that are initiated start to come home to roost. I said, believe me, guys, if there was ever an opportunity for Democrats to show what they can do and who needs to be elected to do this, it's overwhelming Democrat. Who would, the hypocrisy is just amazing. Like I said, the treatment of humans as subhuman, and then hiding behind, Jesus. I think that's what they call blasphemy. And I don't advocate religious crimes in any way, but I think people ought to know it for what it is. I can only hope people, see it for what it is. I've got dark glasses on, but I can still appreciate the brightness out there. And the right people will win. It'll just be a long, hard slog. So with that in mind, give us a call at 949-629-3820 and tell me what you think. Are we ahead for a long slog, or do you think things are going to improve? I mean, the stock market is kind of betting that way, doesn't it? Of course, it's the bond market that always tells the tale, and that's where everybody is extremely nervous. Between the big ugly bill adding 2.4 trillion to the deficit, nobody wants to buy our bonds anymore, or not like they did. And when nobody wants your bonds, or nobody wants what you're selling, you have to induce someone to buy. And in the bond market, you get buyers in the market to buy by what? Giving them more for their money. You pay them a higher interest rate to get them to invest in your bond that, doesn't have the demand it used to. So automatically the debt gets, increased exponentially because of that, I can't even call it an error, because I can call it that act of retribution against the United States. That's the credibility of the United States at work. Our bond, our credit, our word. It's just give us trillions of dollars and we promise to pay. Think about that. It's not secured by like your house. It's not secured by a car. It's just, we promise to pay. And, there are governments with stable governments that you can believe will be around and will honor their debt. Or on the other extreme, there are unstable countries that might have to pay 35% interest to get somebody to take their bonds. I mean, at that point, it's clearly iffy that you'll get paid at all, but 35%, somebody will buy it. So, please, everybody, if you're financially savvy at all, learn a little something about the bond market, because it's my belief that the bond guys are always the smartest guys in the room. I don't care what hedge fund, I don't care what bank, I don't care whatever it is. I will wager that the smartest guys in the room are the bond guys. Okay. That's not exactly tirade, but clearly a thought worth sharing because it's such the inverse of stocks. And I never really know how many people are comfortable with it. And out of all the ways I've tried to explain it, um, explaining how you have to, how the object of the game is to sell the bond. The problem is how. And this it's pretty simple. And let's go take it to the other extreme. How about because we were so stable and so honorable, uh, that we didn't have to pay as much interest as an unstable country. Don't forget, the more stable you are, the more likely you are to pay. And guess what? When you're really stable and likely to pay, people will lend you trillions of dollars. Of course, it's done in like $100,000 increments here and there, but yeah, that's how it works. If there's a market for something or anything like bonds, gasoline, how about that? Well, if gas was one of those things where they needed to go high, but they can't go too high. They just somebody will buy at some point. Or what if everybody had an electric car? How much would gasoline be then? There'd be next to no demand. Could you buy it for, I don't know, quarter gallon? Hold on, guys. Hello. Hey, Mark, what's going on? Oh, good deal. Yeah, I was lunching the ride.
A nice day for a ride. Really good ride. Good lunch with Tom. They've got an outdoor seating area, so we were able to sit outside. Weather was really nice. Yeah, it's good lunch.
Oh, good deal. So, are you out for the festival?
Yeah, we're going to the Strawberry Festival tomorrow. It's over in a town called Reynolds. It's
Right.
about an hour from here.
You remember that strawberry pie thing Shoney's used to have? I always liked that.
Yeah, I do remember that.
I bet they have them there.
I don't know. We went, I don't know if it was last year or year before, but we got there kind of late. So all the strawberries were gone. So we'll see. We're going to try to get there a little earlier. There's a chance to rain in the forecast, but I don't think it's supposed to be, like pouring all day. So.
Well, didn't you say that this was pretty close? Or was that the bluegrass one?
No, the bluegrass one last weekend was like 2 miles from the house.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a really neat nature center called Dosset Trails. It's about 2,000 acres. They've got a little zoo there and some farm animals and a blacksmith shop. And they have, 4, 5, 6 festivals throughout the year over there.
Well, I mean, at least they're not taking this laying down. They're marketing the living daylights out of themselves.
Oh, yeah. Did you ever look at that Cody Norris show I was telling you about?
I did.
Cody Norris. Yeah, they're pretty neat, aren't they?
Oh, you know what? They're great, and they're like the Strawberry Festival, and you know what I mean. It's almost criminal.
Mm-hmm. To me, all the music starts to sound the same after a while.
Yeah.
But it's the words that are different. But watching the videos, it made me realize that the songs tell a story. But when you see the video, it kind of helps explain the story better. Instead of making up a story in my head, I can see what story they had in mind when they wrote the music.
Right.
But they just seem like really down-to-earth people. Just enjoy what they're doing. They're just entertainers.
And you know what? I would hope they're really happy.
They seem to be.
I mean,
They really seem to be.
That's everything these days.
Yeah, it sure is. But anyway, other than that, nothing going on. I worked on the deck for a few hours today. I got 3 floor joists laid in there.
Right.
Which it should have taken me half the time to get those 3 done, but hopefully as I move forward, I'll get quicker with it.
I mean, it's, and doing it by yourself is, everything's at least double the time when you do it by yourself.
Yeah. And I don't want to cut them too short. So what I'm realizing is I'm cutting them a hair too long, then have to go back and trim them once, twice to get them in.
Right.
And I'm going to start trying to, just take a chance and cut them a little shorter on the first cut and hope I don't go way under, because this is just taking too much time. And those boards are pretty heavy. So I don't have my saw set up right where I'm working. So to pull the board,
Oh
take
man.
it back to the saw, I got to take it back carport in and out.
Yeah.
I'm schlepping the same board 3 or 4 times when I hope to get by with just schlepping it once.
Yeah. Homie, don't play that.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be done, and I'm learning as I go. If I ever build another one, it'll go a whole lot faster than this one. But hopefully, this will be the last one I ever build.
No, I'm betting this will be the last one you build.
Yeah, I hope so. But anyway, other than that, nothing going on here. Just to get ready for not like I have to do much to get ready for the trip next week, other than just get psychologically ready for it. Looks like a fairly decent chance of rain every day, but if I get wet, I get wet. That's all.
Well, I mean, there's rain and there's rain.
Yeah, and it's not going to be a washout every day. It's just going to be showers here and there. So
Okay.
we'll probably hit some rain going up. We'll probably hit some rain up there. And it's pretty rare to be up there without hitting some rain, on one side of the mountain or the other. So I'm not too worried about it.
Okay. And you're leaving Tuesday?
Yeah, leaving Tuesday, coming back Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
for me, that's gotten to be the ideal trip. One day up, one day riding around up there, third day back. I'm not too beat up when I get back. And I feel like I've gotten away, but I'm not overdoing it.
I'm gonna say it's not easy to be active 3 or 4 or 5 days in a row. It just isn't.
Well, and our pace is pretty slow up there because we'll get up, and I'm up usually earlier than anybody. I'm up at 6 o'clock, 6:30 or so. And I go drink coffee with a guy that owns a motel and wait for them to get up, and then we go have breakfast. And, it's 9:30 or 10 or even later before we start riding, and we're usually back at the hotel by between 3:30 and 5. So it's not like I used to go up there and ride for 8 or 10 hours a day.
Yeah. Well, those days were fun, but
Yeah, man, this is fun too, just in a different kind of way. And I'm looking forward to it, just getting away a little bit.
well,
I
good
was up there
deal.
in November, and I couldn't. Hard to believe it's already been 5 months. November to April, so time was just flying by.
Well, I know you'll have fun when you get on the bike and kind of like leave the city behind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, the plan is I'll meet Tom in Athens. That's kind of our usual starting point. I meet him at a gas station up there at 10:30, and then we head up from there. So I told them to figure out how they wanted to go this time. It doesn't really matter to me, so I'm just kind of along for the ride.
There are back road options.
Yeah. I offered that to Tom since he might take his smaller bike if he wanted to go 2-lane roads the whole way. But once we get out of Athens, we pick up 441.
Okay.
And most of that's a pretty big 4-lane road until we get to Clayton. So, about an hour and a half or so is a 4-lane. It's not super fast, but it's kind of like, interstate sort of stuff. But there's another way we go that puts us on 85 for just a few miles. But I actually like that way better because we get more mountain riding done when we get up there. And that way we could do that all on the 2-lane roads.
Oh, that
He said
sounds
he's
fun.
fine. He said he's fine going up 441, so it's okay with me.
I mean, that seems even better to me.
Yeah, it'd take a little longer, but it doesn't matter to me. Like I said, I'll let them figure it out this time.
Right.
Usually I'm the one who puts the route together and, let's meet here, let's do this. I'll let them do it this time.
Right. Well, hopefully you get to say hello to the guys at Frog Level Brewery.
Oh, yeah. That's one of my favorite places up there. They make excellent shrimp tacos and brisket tacos. I mean, it's surprising how good it can be in a place like Frog Level.
Well, as long as they're enjoying their niche.
Yeah. They do a good business. They do a really good business. First time I went there years ago, they didn't have a kitchen. They had a food truck out front. Or they had there was a food truck out front that belonged to somebody else. But a few years after that, they put in their own kitchen, and they do a really good business. I'm impressed.
Well, yeah, as long as you have a place to go and have a beer and have something to eat after you ride,
Yeah, there's no shortage of those. There's a dozen of them within walking distance of the hotel, maybe more. So there's never a shortage of places to eat up there or to grab a beer.
do you think they all make money?
I'm assuming they do. They've all been open a long time.
Huh.
As long as I've been going to Waynesville, 10 years, 12 years or so. When did I get my V-Strom? Early 2013 is when I started going up there.
Well,
2013, 2014.
Wayne must be good to his neighbors.
Yeah, that's a tourist spot. It's a big tourist area, and I think the locals kind of feed those places too.
Right.
But other than that, nothing going on here. How about you?
I like to just spend a little time on the network. I need to work on some Instagram posts, but I like I try to leave it kind of on Friday. I don't want to like work into the night,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm gonna spend maybe another hour and then head on. And I wish I'd mentioned being a taco because that really does sound perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna fight the urge, and if I give in, so be it.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Don't hold back. Life is short.
Well, yeah, it's funny. I was, John Perron's brother is, like fairly ill, and as tough as losing a brother would be. Can you imagine losing a twin? After like 80 something years, and these are,
Right.
There's independent twins, and then there's twins that like, they're never alone.
Right.
They're like the never alone type.
Wow.
Yeah.
Were they partners in the business?
Oh yeah. Actually, they took it over from the dad or from the parents.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
They've been around a long time.
Yeah. In Riverside.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I guess they got a lot of history there.
yeah, whatever it is there. And, but, I tell me like, enjoy the time
Mm-hmm.
or make the most of the time. Forget how I phrased it. But, the point was, whatever it is, enjoy every second.
Right.
But, other than that, there ain't a whole lot going on.
Oh, I saw a really good YouTube video last night about Jimi Hendrix. I'll try to remember to send it to you. It's a Saturday afternoon in a music store in Manhattan called Manny's.
Yeah.
You've heard of Manny's?
That's famous.
Okay. Well, apparently this guy, a guitar player who was a session guitarist, made a living at it, pretty good guitarist. He did free classes on Saturday afternoon at Manny's. And drew a pretty good crowd. They had some pictures on the video. And there's a black guy comes in, and he's wearing a purple jacket and bell bottoms, and he's kind of looking at the amps. He's not even paying attention to the class or anything. And the guy who's running the class, is kind of a smart ass and says, hey, kind of distracting everybody. You want to, be part of the class or, I don't remember exactly what he said, but, Jimmy said, oh, I'm sorry. And he said, well, come over here and play something for us, assuming that Jimi Hendrix couldn't play the guitar.
Right.
Who he was. But, assuming this black guy kicking around the store looking at amps couldn't play the guitar. And Jimmy said, nah, I don't know. The guy said, yeah, come on, show us what you can do. And he hands the guitar to Jimi Hendrix. And, of course, you know how the rest of the story goes.
Is this true?
Yeah, apparently so.
Wow.
They said they had a plaque on the wall at Manny's that stayed there until they went out of business. And they've got some still photographs that show, all these young white guys sitting around and Jimi Hendrix sitting on the chair with a guitar in his hand. So I'm assuming those are actual photos from that day.
Wow.
But that day was memorialized on that plaque they put in the store. It was in 1968. I don't remember the exact date.
That's music history.
Yeah. The guy tells Jimmy we're learning, or I'm teaching them Travis picking. and he said, this is what Travis, he tries to tell Jimmy what Travis picking is. Jimmy says, I know what that is. I know what that is.
If you find the video, please send me the link or something.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try to send it to you. I know It's in my should be in my history, so I'll send it to you.
Okay.
But it was pretty funny.
I may go ahead and see if I can find it anyway. It's like Jimi Hendrix, man, his music and see what happens.
Uh-huh.
So yeah,
Okay.
very cool.
But it was a really good story.
Mm.
All right. Well, have a good weekend.
Good deal.
And,
You
we'll
too.
talk on Monday.
Good deal, Mark. Thanks. Bye.
All right, so long.
Bye. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and all the ships at sea and at harbor and at anchor and anchors away and all that. We are back. We had a call in from my brother in Flo Villa, Georgia, which is kind of near the thriving metropolis of not Forsyth, just one of those little things like Nashville versus Nashville. It's Nashville. Just or if you're one of those legal types, it's not substantive, it's substantive. Anyway, if I can help anybody with their English questions, feel free to drop us a line, or you could call us at 949-629-3820 and let us know what let us know what's going on with you. If you're so inclined, smash the 11 daylights out of that PayPal donate button. Abby always needs a little gas in the car now that the $100 fill up is no longer $100, but more like $125. And my brother has the best perspective. Like, what would you pay? Period. What if it was relatively unavailable? How much would you pay? I see people around here that they could pay $1,000 a gallon. It wouldn't affect their lifestyle one way or the other. There's several billionaires and half billionaires, and there's a lot of money around here. So there are lots of people with lots of big boats. Rick Caruso, he's got that. He's the developer that did the Grove in LA, and I tell people it's always nice when your dad, is president of a publicly traded corporation. I think his dad started like Dollar Rent-A-Car or something. So, yeah, he had a little money in the bank to play with, and a dad that didn't mind helping his son out. But I digress. Let's get back into some of the important stuff that's going on. And here, how about this? Now, if I'm not mistaken, that Christianity stuff was about, what did I say? Healing the sick, washing the dirty, feeding the hungry, sheltering the poor. Am I on the right track here? Okay, I kind of thought I was. And then there's, of course, a headline about how there are, I don't want to say clerics. So let's just talk about the politicians. As the politicians start hating in public, like they are doing in the South, it's a family tradition. You have minority groups that get a little afraid, and of course, there's Andy Ogles in Tennessee, and there's some guy in Georgia, and who don't believe that Muslims have a place in Western society. And I'm sure that's the kind view of it. And so they get a little afraid. I mean, they are who the politicians are talking about. And there's they're getting afraid. And this is the United States. Equal rights, equal protection of the 14th Amendment. So what do we do? The Democrats see this as a huge opportunity. We can show you a better way. You've seen the pain. You've seen what the Republicans can bring, and if you want more, for God's sake, vote for them. I wouldn't dream of getting in the way. But the truth of the matter is, the Democrats are the only, of course, when there's two groups, is not a whole lot of choice, but you can bet on history and people. I don't care who it is, and I don't care what the activity is. People have proven who and what they are by what they do, and all you have to do is kind of look around. But another one, a few things I can't get over. One was, and this was for some reason my favorite. This is during the Stormy Daniels case, when Stormy's on the witness stand, and let me tell you, God bless her soul. Stormy's on the witness stand, and she's testifying as to his the color of his underwear or pattern, whatever, about his underwear, and the shape of his penis, and any unusual physical characteristics. Heaven forbid. I'm sure there are plenty. Anyway, and they go on to ask about his performance in bed and all this stuff, right? And she's answering the questions just straightforward, just she's being honest. And then that's followed up by Trump on the witness stand. I never saw before in my life. And at that point, you're faced with judging credibility. You have to decide who is more likely telling the truth. Is it Stormy Daniels, the 40-something-year-old, adult film actress and, entertainer and all that, or the once and future president of the United States? Who is telling the truth? Is it A, the woman who's talking about his underwear and his penis and his performance and all that, or is it the guy that says never saw before in my life? After carefully considering the two choices, I have decided that Stormy Daniels is more believable, has more credibility than the once and future president of the United States. How about you? Did you come up with the same conclusion? Did you think that Stormy was spot on, or where those guys tend to leave spots? Do you like Stormy? Give us a call, 949-629-3820, and let us know your thoughts on Stormy Daniels and her testimony. She's on the road now as a comedian, and I heard she's, well received and sells out, and that, she's just kind of telling her story, in a funny way. And, below the surface, is this not a great story of human resiliency? To have gone from the object of scorn to having a child and having a more or less normal, job, or a non adult type job. To be a comedian. I kind of hope she gets chance at the movies. Or a concert film with Stormy. Well, yeah, that might open too many opportunities. So we'll keep informed if there is to the latest on the Stormy Daniels front. I would like to know if she drinks or anything. It'd be hard to go through that and not be damaged in some way. So we got those politicians, and then how about the Virginians winning the redistricting battle in Virginia? Now, it really is nice. And, Virginia, I'm sure you guys have heard like the Delmarva Peninsula, Delaware, Maryland, and Virginia, all surrounds D.C. And you cannot imagine how many government employees there are there. It's, sometimes I think if they put another thing up there, the entire peninsula would sink, which is a distinct possibility. You could probably bet on it in the poly market. I don't know what they call it. Guessing game. I don't know, the prediction market. At first glance, you might confuse that with gambling, but what do I know? And by the way, you a gambler? Want any money in Vegas lately? Give us a call, 949-629-3820, and let us know about that old Las Vegas trip. It's time what happened in Las Vegas left Las Vegas, and why does it need to stay there? Let's share the wealth. So anybody hit a good jackpot? Where's the good blackjack table? Now, keep in mind, I've never been to Las Vegas. I've never gambled in my life. And you see, I had always thought gambling was like God's way of saying you had too much money. You just feel like, standing around, just throwing away. I thought that's what boats were for. I have no problem doing that with a boat, but it's a little different in a place like Las Vegas. My grandparents would go for the shows, and they would have a friend, and who was it? Might have been one of the Kirsteins. That was like a big guy, a whale or whatever it was. And so when my grandparents would want to go to Las Vegas, Mr. X would arrange for them to have a nice hotel room on the house, and just here. And I've often wondered what that would be like going to like a show or something, and they they got to see like Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra and whoever else. But back then, you can only assume that the mob was pretty powerful. Well, should you say the mob, or is that politically incorrect these days? How about the business owners? We'll just call them like that. The business owners, I think, were pretty much in control back then. And I don't know. I've heard this thing about prostitution being legal in Nevada in certain counties, but not in Las Vegas. And that seemed to not have prostitution in Las Vegas. Talk about missed opportunities. I'm sure that whoever solves that puts the key in that lock. They should do pretty well. I'm sure there's other I guess other methods of procurement than going to the brothel, but I mean, I've heard that when you go inside those places, that the first thing you come to is like a bar, and I guess that supposedly helps your performance, or maybe it just kind of generates a few more buckaroos for your companion. And like I said, the truth about it is all that stuff ought to be made legal. I mean, don't make it a crime. If people want to, have sex for money, then do it. Just, make sure there's no like coercion involved. But I'm hardly a libertarian kind of guy. But and it's very Jerry Brown. Jerry Brown took this position. Not every problem deserves a law. Sometimes there's just things you don't legislate. And if you have things you think we shouldn't legislate, give us a call, 949-629-3820. And while you're at it, what do I want you to do? I want you to smash. Did I say so? Smash that old PayPal donate button, and keep old Abby rolling, and semi-happy. And let's see what. Oh, my brother was telling me that in a town near there, they always have these like festivals on the weekend, try and scare off some tourists and try and keep the economy as afloat as they can. And this weekend they are going to the Strawberry Festival. And I could not go to, I've never been to Strawberry Festival, but the only way I would go would be if they have some of that Shoney's strawberry pie with the whipped cream. God, that was good. And, back then, calories, schmalories, right? Let's see, what have we here? Hang on, guys. Oh, I know. This is my brother sending me a YouTube link to a video Jimi Hendrix, or a story about Jimi Hendrix being in Manny's Music in New York. And there's some guys teaching a class or something in Manny's. And, Hendrix comes in bell bottoms and, the hat and the vest and, and he's not really paying attention to anything other than the amps. He's just kind of kicking around the amps. And so he says something, Jimi Hendrix, like, oh, I was just teaching Travis picking. And Jimmy's like, oh, well, don't let me get in the way. And, eventually he thinks Jimmy's just a hick. So he says, here, play it. The rest is history. So it's, don't challenge the weird looking guy as to whether he can play guitar or not. Just, just might be in a descendant of the late Jimi Hendrix. God, Seattle. And that where he died? What can you say? Sometimes, when you're that successful that early on, he was 27, so he'd been around a while. But after a while, you just get numb to the festivities, and you really have no idea how much is enough or too much. It's just the luck of the draw. How much just so has to be in the spoon and in the needle and whatever else those guys do. I am intentionally railing against illegal drugs, and particularly the things you inject or snort or smoke, or that's a little bad. But like I'm not exactly here for value judgments. I am here to help Democrats, to get exposure for Democrats, to to sound the alarm. Join us. There's room in the lifeboat for you, pal. Just you got to get in. You gotta join us. And we don't need 1,000% participation. We don't need every spare hour of yours. But your local Democrat club could stand an hour or two once a month. Go to a meeting. It's not uncommon to have adult beverages. And the great thing is everybody's there for the same reason. And we are as grassroots as it gets. Friends and neighbors who get together to take care of their local area by voting for city council representing your district. And if that's not the heart of democracy, and if that doesn't make everybody somewhat proud, then there's clearly something wrong with you. Because think about if you didn't have a choice, right? And I think that's all I'm going to say on that, because democracy is all about choosing. And we've seen what happens when people get forewarned and they don't take it seriously. There's just going to be no way that the proposed policies were going to put America on anywhere resembling the other path to prosperity. Now the problem is you have a snake oil salesman who's really good, who's like, oh, you don't have to worry about that. I promise things will be great. I'll get on it before I get in the White House. How about that? I'm not even going to wait till day one. I'm going to get on it before I get to the White House. Don't you think that what you're getting isn't exactly what you see? Or what you see is pretty much what did you think? Wasn't January 6th enough? That question me just seems vital. Guys, it's Friday, February 24th, and it's what time? 2:44. It is an absolutely gorgeous day here. Sun's out, blue sky, breeze is blowing. That's a beautiful day, maybe mid-60s, a little cool, but we hope everybody's enjoying their Friday afternoon, and we appreciate a little time you spend tuning in and letting me chat like this. Let's see, what else do we have here? Oh, how about this? Now, as if Iran won the topic enough for the New York Times in the front section, on the first page of the business section, the first page, Iran again keeps traffic at a standstill in Hormuz, in the Strait of Hormuz. Iran keeps traffic standing still. Now, if I'm not mistaken, didn't those guys sink an American boat or two? Just and what happened at USS Cole? You remember those guys? There's a dinghy full of explosive was a hole in the most expensive warship or aircraft carrier, whatever the USS Cole was. The fact of the matter is, you may be the biggest, baddest guys around, but you're playing on somebody else's home court, and the Iranians are they're tired. They have no. Think about this. They have no choice, if they do exercise a choice, it's to live or die. How about the woman that gets killed for not wearing a headscarf in public, hijab? Now, does that make sense to you? They killed a woman for not wearing a hat. Okay, I mean that's pretty much what it is. They killed her for not wearing a hat. They said you got to wear the hat. She says, "Oh, no, I'm not wearing a hat." They go, "Boom." Okay, got to wear the hat. I ain't wearing the hat. Well, if you ain't wearing the hat, then you'll be disappearing for a while. So anyway, the Iranians are going through all this against the backdrop. Was it 1976 or so when Jimmy Carter wouldn't let the Shah of Iran into the U.S. for cancer treatment or something, and that's when the Iranian Revolution and the Ayatollahs took over, and by the way, a little Ayatollah thing for you. I remember in D.C. during that time when, maybe it was the Gulf War, something or other, and we were fighting the Ayatollahs, and some genius superimposes the Ayatollah on a dartboard, and he markets it as, are you ready for this? Wait, the kids and phone the neighbors. And he markets this as stick a whole lot in the Ayatollah. Now, where else but in America, huh? So, and if you think there is any place else nearly as nice as this, give us a call, 949-629-3820. And if you have any thoughts on the old Ayatollah, we'd certainly like to hear them. I'm sure we could, if you can believe that any one group of people deserves to be free, then you have to believe that every group of people deserves to be free. Of course, it's the way. Oppression is never the way. Okay. Oppression is never the way. Even though that seems to be the only way our orangutan resembling subhuman with absent intelligence, or intelligence and absentia. How about that? Instead of being tried in absentia, he's got intelligence in absentia, meaning absent, like gone, like never had, like ain't here. Okay, so again, after all the posts and after all the headlines in the front section, the first page of section 2 of the business section is Iran, Straits of Hormuz, stand still. Okay. Now, some people, even Steve Miller, some people call me the space cowboy. Well, some people might call this a win, or at least there's like one or two people, maybe Pretty Boy, Pistol Pete Cakeseth, or he who is a subhuman absent intelligence and is a funny shade of orange. Yes, instead of a whiter shade of pale, he's just a funnier shade of orange. So anyway, how about, and let's move to the Financial Times because you know what a fan I am of that. The big headline: the U.S. kill order in line keeping. And in the front page photo, there's a guy of like masked military man climbing up a rope ladder onto a tanker. Now I have no idea, whose army they might be, but that was, it was an picture that would be admissible in evidence as to military people with masks climbing a rope ladder upward to board the a tanker or a bigger boat at any rate. How about this? Oh, the Europe, the European Union is loaning money to Kiev to buy weapons and essentially exist, and that kind of means that they're not looking for this to end quickly. And I mean, only just end would be to give Zelensky everything and and enough to rebuild, pay for your damage. How about that, Russia? Pay for your damage. And you know something? Should we pay for our damages in Iran? Should we pay to reconstruct the girls' school that got bombed? Or how about the bridges that people use to live? It's I think the word is cavalier, and that's when you really don't care about yours. You just or when you really don't care about others, you only care about yours. You can treat the situation cavalierly because you weren't involved, and the destruction that they cause and the price that it costs. Oh, and let's face it, those bombs are expensive. Those drones ain't cheap. I mean, it's not like you get it from $99.95 from Temu, And Ukraine has drones that can fly, I don't know, 300 miles, 500 kilometers. Yeah, and then they'll put it through a window. And Zelensky offered drone technology to the U.S. I kind of think that's, kind of the height of in your face and Trump. But, Zelensky still knows that at the end of the day, he's in a world of trouble, or his country is. Even if they do get everything back, the lives lost are just irreplaceable. And how about Russia? Their economy is down the tubes. They don't have enough guys for the menial jobs that they have. I think the total may be around 1 million men killed, not counting the cajillion that were maimed or otherwise injured. And the world dared Putin to do it, and he did it in broad daylight, not unlike the corruption in the White House. It's just right out in public. Said, I dare you to stop me. And we could have, and we should have. Oh, but as my recollection, even though we told Zelensky that Putin was going to invade, I mean, Zelensky kept holding on to hope that it was a war game or exercise, and our intelligence warned him. But you still have the problem of, Russia being an aggressive nation and not of ignoring the sovereignty of Ukraine. And, homie, don't play that. Guys, thanks to that little period when I was fighting with the space aliens, that coincidentally looked like Bigfoot and had a near-death experience. Thanks to that little, how about if I call that an excursion? On that little excursion, that's given me the ability to hang in a little later, and I'm I'm really happy to be here this late with you guys. Felt kind of a weasel when I checked out earlier, and yesterday or something. But today it was just being attacked by space aliens that looked like Bigfoot that had a near-death experience. I think that kind of covers the conspiracy theory, doesn't it? Bigfoot and space aliens and near-death paranormal. Okay. If I missed anything, give us a call at 949-629-3820 and let us know what's going on. And let's see what else. I believe it's Friday already. And actually, it's been kind of a long week. And you know what? I don't think we found out what how that old stock market ended today. So let's take geez. What is that with the old NAS, huh? Up over 1.5% today, almost 400 points. Huh. And the SP was decent. The Dow, it was all over the place. It was up like 3 something and finished down 80. So, what do you think? Is the economy going to get better? I know. I thought you'd think. I knew you'd think that was funny. The odds of the economy getting better are just about the same odds as me walking on water across the harbor and whizzing at the same time. And just thought we'd make it interesting with that. And whenever I'm on a boat, I always credit my old friend Bill James with teaching me the difference between a Gatorade bottle and like a Powerade bottle. And the distinction is that the Gatorade bottle has a wider opening. And Bill James suggested that might make things a little easier. And of course, he was right. So now that's kind of a thing that, I'll go buy like any sort of Gatorade and empty the stuff out and kind of bring it on board. And then when people ask what it's for, we're going to be in the middle of the harbor. Hey, not too many bathrooms. And if I got to go in the middle of the harbor, you're going to be so jealous. And the kind of awkward thing about that is the boats are kind of small, so there's no place to really hide. And if you're a nice guy, you can, when I'm a nice guy, which I try to be all the time, but when I remember, I will bring a bucket on the boat. And when, the woman asked me, what's the bucket for? Like, oh, if you only knew. And so at some point you wind up explaining it. And she's not sure if you're teasing or not. It's like, you really expect me to go to the bathroom in this bucket 4 feet in front of you, crouched in a little cabin? And you're like, it's kind of sailing. It's kind of boat world. If you had a big boat, you'd have more room, but it's a small boat, no room. So most women try to hold out as long as they can. If I can find a place to stop in the harbor, I will. But don't forget, I'm pulling up, at docks and somebody's, hoping for a convenient, clean bathroom for the women on the boat. So I said that bucket ain't looking too bad after a while. But everybody has their own comfort level. Matter of fact, years and years ago, they actually had these things called dirty bathrooms, and they were gas stations. And you would, be on a road trip and go to the gas station, pull up, and your mother would need the bathroom, and she'd come back after like 10 seconds and go, I want a clean one. And so you get back in the car and start again. But now there's like no such thing as really, lousy bathroom. These guys, the owners all take that stuff really seriously. And, before people were in business they could do things they liked and, they could cut people a little slack. But now it's like no slack, we'll charge you, and we'll give you the clean bathroom to stop at. Our gas is worth it, and there's nothing happier, or no one on the earth happier than a woman when you find a convenient place to powder their noses. Men wash their hands, women powder their noses. So let's and I gotta tell you, I think the guys at Starbucks are probably the best. You gotta love a clean bathroom, and those guys are always so spot on. But I digress. And let's see here. Where were we? Oh, how about this? The U.S. is accusing China of using, guess what, the routers and the smart fridges and all that to hack, and not necessarily hack us, but to hack others, and just a pit, a tear, a foot in the sand or a toe in the sand. Now, do you think China would do that? Yeah, me too. So, what are we gonna do about it? You've got the orange orangutan, absent intelligence, meeting with the President Xi of China in 2 weeks. And at this point, does anybody think Trump can actually out-negotiate a noodle, or even the old thing? Could he or negotiate his way out of a paper bag? How about a wet paper bag? Again, you'd have to bet against him. And how people bet on him twice, I'll never, please God help me one day. Just help me. It had to have been, it could not have been an analytical, fact-based decision. There's not enough evidence to support the conclusion that he would be the better president. And I'll repeat that again. The conclusion is that he would not make a better president. Okay. The evidence didn't show that, but somehow you got from A to B. And if you got from A to B and the result is delusional or irrational, then that might just have a little something to do. That might just be a good description of your thought process. Never anything to be proud of, but anyway, I digress. And today, as a matter of fact, when I leave here, I had brought a guitar up to play a little bit for you guys, just because I'm only somewhat semi-savvy politically host. I thought I would play a little bit for you guys, but as it turns out, I need a cable to plug the guitar into my Scarlett Focusrite 2i2 anniversary 4th generation. But it doesn't have traditional jack. It only has the XLR mic cable. So I have to get an XLR male cable to go into the back of the interface, right? But then I have to have the 1/4-inch jack on the other end that will go into an electric guitar or an acoustic guitar with a pickup fitted. So anyway, I was trying my local electronics guys for us family business, Marback at like 2000 Harbor Boulevard, something like that. And just because of decent people, old family business. And I had bought something the other day. Matter of fact, I'd done this yesterday, stopped off. But my mistake was I got a female XLR to the 1/4-inch male guitar jack. So I take it back, and I found one at my local. Matter of fact, they had one left at Micro Center, way up on Red Hill in Edinger. So we got that, and we'll try it now. I'm pretty sure I can just plug right into the interface, and we hope to, I don't rock out anymore, but anyway. I don't know about you guys, but there's a real, how you can just tell when a guitar is, opened up, and it just doesn't sound stiff anymore. I always buy used guitars because I want them to be broken in. I really could care less what they look like. I just kind of care about how they work and all that. And we just might have to talk to Jim about selling the triple O. I mean, it's nice, but it's not functional. It drives me crazy. I really don't want to pay him a quarter, 25% interest though. So I might see. Well, I ought to ask him, what he could get for it first. $900 would be 180, 230, 6 and change. I mean, I would hate to take home less than $700. And it's hugely annoying to have a tuner stripped. But maybe we'll talk to Jim and see if he's willing to do this or what his thoughts are. Oh, you know what? I could do that later today or tomorrow. I could give him my everything. Give him my Claude Gemini best factual situation and attach it and send it to Jim because it's clearly not functional with a strip tuner. So the question becomes, what do I do about it? Do I fix it or do I not fix it? And I'll ask Jim what to do. I might have to do both. I hope not, but we'll see. So, guys, it's a little after 3:00 on Friday, April 24th, and thanks for hanging with me and giving me the opportunity to tell you about the Democracy Radio Network. And we are a platform for Democrats. I am not one side in this. I mean, I'm not both sides in this deal. Everybody's equal. No, just because there are two sides of an issue does not necessarily mean that they're equally right or wrong. Usually you have a majority position and a minority position. So, and of course, that's a distinction that is lost on some people. But if you have a problem with it, give me a call at 949-629-3820. And right after you smash the 11 daylights out of that donate button, we can chat about this. So this is Abby Kaufman, your semi-savvy, or your somewhat semi-savvy, politically minded host, whose name is you might just remember Abby Hoffman from the late 60s, the more or less radical hippie with Jerry Rubin. And if I'm not mistaken, those guys went to the gallery at Wall Street. And you remember years ago, you could just tour you just looked out from the gallery and see what's going on. It was, a tour site. But what old Abby and Jerry did was they had knapsacks full of counterfeit money. It's a good counterfeit, but it's counterfeit. So, and of course, what do? They just start opening bags and shaking them over the trading floor. And I don't know if you know any people that work on the floor of the stock exchanges, but usually they're pretty hyper people and usually kind of money motivated. So you can imagine the commotion when these guys just say, like confetti, there's dollars in there. And I'm sure Jerry and Abby probably did 20s or so. They didn't do ones, I'm sure. Did it work? Of course it worked. There was panic and, they could have been prosecuted. It's been a long time ago. I can't remember. And, but I will share one other little Abby Hoffman tidbit. And Abby was so rebellious that he wrote a book with the title "Steal This Book." He wrote he wrote a book that he was, urging people to steal, not buy. That's that's pretty bad in my book. Oh, sorry, back to the cable. So I checked at my local micro center because Marvac didn't have one that I needed. So I returned it yesterday afternoon. And so then I checked with my local micro center. My local guitar center didn't have it. So then I checked with Micro Center, and they had a grand total of one left in stock. That would be like one above zero, and one less than two, just one. And it was available for the low price of, I don't know, maybe $12 or so. And so it pops up, do you want it in your car? I'm like, yeah, I want it in my car. Do you want to pick it up? Sure, I want to pick it up. Do you want to pay for it when you pick it up? I'm like, yeah, if I don't have to pay for it first, so much the better. So after we end the old live stream today, we've got to jump in the old Hoffmobile and see if we can't make our way up to Micro Center and pay for this thing. And guess what, guys? Then I will be able to play for you. If a guitar has a pickup, I will be able to plug it into my Scarlett Focusrite 2i2 fourth generation powerhouse of an interface. And you too will be amazed at that your semi-savvy, politically minded Democratic host can actually play a little bit. Maybe yeah, maybe no. The surprise will be yours. Give us a call, 949-629-3820. Excuse me, let us know what if you're involved politically. Whose race are you watching? Have you volunteered? If you're a Republican, there's really no point in calling. So please don't, and we'll just enjoy our business of promoting Democrats. Like I said, we get down to the city council level, to the if there's a boardship or commissionship or whatever it is. We want to have our ear to the ground, because there's not but so much time in the day and not but so much attention you have. And a fellow named Chris Hayes at MS Now wrote a book about just that time, and he came up with the term attention deficit. Like there's just no time, not enough time to take in everything. And you have to depend on others to distill it for you. And I kind of, I wouldn't mind a distiller distilling a little brown rum for me about now. It's kind of eased my throat a little bit. Oh, did I mention back pain? That's anybody familiar with Granny from the Beverly Hillbillies and her rheumatism medicine? Now, the rheumatism medicine, as I understand it, is a rebranding of moonshine. Now, why didn't they just do this in the first place? Why didn't they just, take the moonshine and put it in rheumatism bottles? Wouldn't that solve the problem? Because nobody would be doing, something illegal, right? I just kind of think that they ought to reconsider this. Let's see. Is there anything else that's really crucial? Oh, how about this? The French, have these prediction markets. I think they call poly markets, and they were predicting the temperature of the day. But they were like weird reports twice a day or so, and a person or so traded on them. Okay, so that's that. So what you have is people possibly tampering with the gauges to win the poly market prediction market. And when you have people tampering with like official records to make money, it's like bad. And apparently those French are going to do what they can to put a stop to it. Do you bet on them? 50-50. Okay. How about this? A refinery in Russia gets attacked, blown up, whatever you call it. And, again, you can't call it unexpected. It's kind of what, you brought it on yourself, pal. So then it goes on about the toxic black rain that this produces. And, what do you do if it's, the black acid rain? I mean, stay inside, of course, but you're in a bad place. Again, everybody suffers, but the people that started the war. And it's about time that he who is orange and without intelligence should be held to account, particularly for this. I mean, I cannot imagine the death and destruction that we brought about in Iran, in the Middle East. It's not unlike what we did to the Native Americans. I mean, we hunted those guys down like animals, and now we have them in special museums called reservations. Some of them have casinos and hotels and gamble and are treated more or less as a sovereign. But the truth of the matter is nothing makes up for genocide. And everyone knew what was going on. And then sometimes it was officially sanctioned, sometimes unofficially sanctioned, rarely objected to. And these guys were here first. They had progressed in their own way on their timeline. They were essentially untouched until we came, which is kind of like, remember the story about Columbus giving the natives the blankets that had a pox in it. So we weren't exactly helping these guys, and it's not like we had a history of helping. You would think that the first settlers over in Plymouth Rock that came because of religious freedom, you would think they would be among the first to incorporate Christian values. And let's face it, we were largely okay until fairly recently. Oh, excuse me. And anyway, guys, what I am thinking is that I have to go wash my hands. It's about 3:18 or so. I think we're going to go ahead and sign off. And I can't thank you for hanging in with me. I am your somewhat politically savvy guest, host, Abby Kaufman. Give us a call, 949-629-3820, and let us know your thoughts. If you get a chance, smash the living daylights out of that PayPal donate button. And we will look forward to joining you again on Monday, April 27th. In the meantime, everybody have fun over the weekend. Take care, stay well, and like the Lone Ranger says,